I'm Tim Henderson with the Livingston Parish One Pill Can Kill podcast. Today, I want to thank Randy Delatte, our parish president. This is episode 1, and we thought who better to bring than our parish president, Randy Delatte. So thanks, Randy, for coming to our podcast.
Thanks, Tim, for having me.
Today, we're going to be talking about opioids. We're going to be talking about the situation involving the opioid settlement and how our parish president was able to send these funds out into the parish and develop resources to help our citizens. So, Randy, if you recall, there was about $50 billion nationally that was distributed from the government to the states, and then eventually it came down to the parishes. So this is whenever you took control of this situation in 2025, and there's been some additional funds in 2026. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, that's a very good question, Tim. But before I go any further, I want to make it clear that this is not taxpayers' money. Taxpayers did not pay a millage or a sales tax or property tax for this funding. This funding came through a lawsuit nationwide, and it was against the pharmacists that took unfair advantage of the working people. And they had the doctors prescribing some medication that people got addicted on. And so it's only justified that they created the problem, that they pay for the problem. Not the taxpayers, but they do. It's a big criteria for this abatement. You don't just go ahead and put your name on a sign and say one pill kills and that do nothing. You actually have to go out there, and that's what y'all do, Tim. You have classes. We also provide group homes for single mothers with children. That to me is one of our favorite ones. We do that with men also. And if a person needs a second chance, this is a perfect opportunity to give them that second chance. And again, it can't be used just for but certain things, and that criteria is very, very tough to meet. In addition to that, we are audited, and those audits, we've been able to pass those audits. So this money is going where it's supposed to go, and we are very happy that we are part of this settlement.
Yeah, I think you've done a great job as far as creating a team, creating the dynamics of how you wanted us to get the message out into the public. Specifically myself, Brent Ballard, our opioid director and co-instructor, and my son, Tyler Henderson, who's an instructor. We actually go to the high schools, we go to the prisons, we go to the churches, and what we try to do is bring opioid awareness and prevention. So that's part of the resources that you have allocated out into the parish with this funding. So what I'll say to the citizens is this: there's some oversight involved in this. The money can only be used for certain things, like Randy said. But more importantly, there is an audit, and that way we know that the money is being spent correctly. He said it was not taxpayer money, and that's important. And it's also not a grant. It's a settlement. So the funds are not in a grant format. It's in a settlement format. There's certain things you can spend the money on, like you said, but I think you've done a great job of putting your resources in place and serving the parish well. And so I appreciate your dedication to this cause.
Well, I'll be honest with you. Most of this credit goes to the director, Brent Ballard. And the reason is awareness. You have to be made aware. So we're getting that information out. Then after awareness, you have to have, in our opinion, you have to have a place where they don't make the same mistake twice. You have to give them ability to earn a living. And by having a place where they can bring their children and still work, that's awesome. You know, the bottom line for these dollars is the prevention. If you can prevent anyone from getting addicted to drugs, it's well worth the money that's being spent for that, guys. And it is expensive to have treatment and education and housing for people. But it doesn't mean that we house everybody who's out on the street. That doesn't mean that. It means that if you're trying for a second chance, you have that opportunity, because now you have a facility that you know it's safe for your child to stay at, child care, and you can go to work, and you can become a productive member. And that's what happens to people when they get addicted. they can't find that second chance. And when they finally get that second chance, they're not gonna want to lose that chance. And the way that y'all explain and educate and show these people that there is another way is second to none. And I'm very appreciative of y'all's group.
We're proud, and I'm very passionate about it also. So my background is in law enforcement. I was a police officer for 32 years. So from a street level, I saw the onset of this opioid epidemic, but also I saw it from a street perspective. I saw just how debilitating it is for families, friends, acquaintances, associates, and also the person who is addicted. When we talk to the prisoners specifically, I want you to know that we talk about some of the things you talked about, and we mention environment because we tell the inmates, if you get out and you don't change your environment, you're going to succumb to the same pressures. When things get tough, people revert back to what they're more comfortable with, and addicts go back into the same situation. They hang around the same friends. When we talk to the high schoolers, we understand due to age requirements that they have, their parents are responsible for them until they're 18. We tell them that we know you can't control your environment per se, but you have to do the best you can in order to make sure that you limit your negative exposure. You have teachers, you have principals, you have coaches, you have resource officers, you have people from the parish government that can get you help. So that's something that we try to focus on. You know, when you put together the team to go out and teach, I really became passionate because I saw how much drive you had. When the first meeting we had, it was you, Mickey McMorris, Brent, and several other people, including Glenn. And when I saw how passionate y'all were to put the resources into this, that really was a driving factor of me getting involved in this. And the first time I taught at the prison, you need to know this, the first time I taught at the prison, I was sold. I could see the impact that this was having. I could see it in their face. A lot of times they become emotional. We've been in front of hundreds and hundreds of people, and almost every time we have someone that gets emotional when we bring these topics up. So I think you put together a good team, but also the support that you give us is second to none. When we needed some more content help, you got us what I call the content crew. So, you know, I want the people of the parish to understand that you are very dedicated to this concept and this cause, and we appreciate it. Me as an instructor, I appreciate it, and I'm sure the people in the parish will come to appreciate it as much as I do.
Tim, one of the things that it's easy to become passionate because every family has someone that has been affected by addiction. And really, most of these people didn't say, I want to get high or I want to get addicted. There's a lot of people that just got prescribed a pill from a doctor that caused their addiction, which caused further things down the line. And we can't, if the milk is spilled, you can't put it back in a carton. Right. But we can keep the milk from getting spilled. And I really passionately believe if we start with the younger guys, we can teach them. And we can also show them what happens when you go the other route. And we give them the second opportunity. Everyone needs a second opportunity. This is giving these people a second opportunity. So this is a win situation, not only for the parish of Livingston, not only for this administration, but this is a win situation for the human being, for the citizens of this parish. And that's what we want to be. Livingston Parish is a unique parish because we take care of each other.
That's right.
And that's what we're doing now. The people who need help, we're there for them. The people that don't want help, well, there's other consequences you're going to face. But we are here to help the people that need help.
Yeah, and we touch on the people that don't want help because you can't make anybody get help. It's something they have to want to internally do. But we try to give them, along with you and your team, we try to give them options and resources, some of the things that you mentioned earlier. And specifically with the inmates, we try to tell them that everybody has a sad story. We don't care why you're here because we really don't care why we're here because the human element, as you said. But if you dig deep into that situation, and you could tell me if you agree or disagree with this, when you have inmates that are addicted or you have just regular common citizens that are addicted, a lot of times they alienate themselves from their loved ones because they rob, steal, and do anything they can to get these pills. The people that get the opioids from the doctors, and it's common, people get opioids from the doctor, they might need to take them 7 or 8 days, and they wind up getting addicted to them, and they don't know how to stop that addiction. It's not really their fault that it's occurring, but bringing this awareness right here, I think is going to help out a lot. So, you know, in regards to bringing this awareness and the prevention, I think we're going to do a good job of letting everybody know it's okay. It's not a stigma attached anymore. It's okay if you're on drugs, if you're on opioids. We don't want you to die. And if you agree or disagree with this, the more people we talk to, the more the word's going to get out there. And I told the inmates, y'all have voices in different elements than we do. You and I can go into some of the environments that they're in and get this message out. So I think that it takes everybody.
You're correct, Tim. The bottom line, Livingston Parish, the bottom line is we here for you. If you need help, we have a fund here to give you help. Now, there are things that you have to do also. You don't just come and get the good parts. You have to, when you subscribe to our program, you have to, and we're going to audit you. You have to make sure that you follow the same rules that everybody else follows. And this is a second chance, okay? This second chance is needed for so many people's family. There are children out there who need their father or their mother, and they need them to be sober. And there are people out there whose father and mothers, children need to be sober. And this is a very expensive endeavor if you fight an addiction. And it only gets bigger. It only leads to more crime. And so we believe that with the funds we have necessary here, that we can provide them with the education, we can provide them with the resources it takes to succeed. And the bottom line is, when you mentioned it a while ago, word of mouth, awareness, awareness, awareness. And that's what we're trying to do with billboards. We're trying to tell people that, look, we got things that can help you break your addiction. And that's what we fighting and striving for. Addiction-free Livingston Parish would be a wonderful place, and that's what we're fighting for.
Yeah, it'd be a great place. So you bring up the billboards, and for those in the parish, our audience in the parish, our audience nationally and hopefully internationally, I'll tell you this. We have Randy Delatte, our parish president, Jason Ord, our sheriff, and Jody Purvis, our school superintendent. They've all formed a united front, and that's powerful because everybody can see that there's a unified front with the 3 major leaders in our parish. So I commend you for that, and everybody who was involved in the billboard process and getting this message out, because it's epic. I said that whenever I first saw it. This is epic that we have y'all collaborating with each other, and we have to think about the sheriff, Jason Ord. We have to think about the component he has, because he's kind of responsible for quality of life issues in our parish. So him, and then we have Jody Purvis, who does his role with the school system. A combined joint effort like that is something that I've never seen in any other parish. So I commend you and everybody involved in collaborating with each other.
Well, thank you for that, Tim. But y'all have been in schools, in the classrooms. Y'all have been showing y'all's program to children, so it's natural to have Jody there. The sheriff has been phenomenal. He has been out there fighting the crime and also trying to help prevent the crime. We have a pill bottle that we work with the sheriff and the fire departments. So if you got emergency, they already would have that pill bottle wherever they're going to have it and have all their medication. But the sheriff is just like any other elected official. He believes that we need to handle our addiction problem. And we do have a program for the first time, and we have to walk before we can run, but we're getting better and better at the program, and the more money from the settlement, the more we can do. At this time, we can take more money, obviously, and we hopefully may get some next year. But we do have money this year, and we are spending that money on awareness and housing and treatment. So.
Yeah. So let me give everybody a little context behind the opioid issue. In the late 90s, Purdue Pharma had a drug called Oxycontin that was a time-release capsule. And what happened is they went out and they told the drug reps, we need you to go to the physicians and say, this has only a 1% chance of being addictive. So they did. They sold this to everybody they could, and eventually we came to find out during this opioid settlement, during some of the case studies, not studies, but some of the cases, involving the lawsuit, that they had internal documentation that they knew it was highly addictive and that they were lying about that. So I want the audience to know there's several big companies involved in this. That is, when I first realized it was kind of alarming to me. So you had Purdue Pharma, the Sackler family. They had about a $7 billion involvement in this settlement. They were the primary drivers. They were the ones who originally had oxycodone and went to Oxycontin to make it time released. In '99 or so, that's whenever the DEA and everybody else, CDC, kind of figured that this was a problem, and it eventually became an epidemic. So we brought some awareness and treatment programs out there. But during this lawsuit, Big Pharma, which includes not only Purdue Pharma, but a couple of other ones, but that's the one people most notably recognize. But you also have Walmart, Walgreens, and CVS that are paying millions to billions of dollars over a certain amount of time. So this is a huge problem, and there were a lot of people that were drivers in this problem. But during our classes, I tell people this: make no mistake about it, they were intentional in what they did. They got us addicted on purpose, and now on the back end, we're having to come in and try to eliminate the addiction, eradicate the opioid issues in our parish. But I think with everything involved, with every concept that we have right now, I think we're doing a really good job of bringing awareness and preventative measures to it. So, I kind of want the listeners to know, because not a lot of them really know how this began. And this is a long sequence of years. I mean, it's 20-something years that this has been going on.
That's a great explanation you gave, because people didn't know, like you just said. And this wasn't a Louisiana problem, and this wasn't a Livingston Parish problem. This was a problem in the United States, and this was a problem that cost billions and billions of dollars. I feel they got lucky on the $50 billion settlement, because it could have been worse. How do you put a price on someone's life? You can't. And that's what so many people's lives have been ruined by something. As you spoken earlier, the internal memos they had, the internal emails, all discussed the addictions, yet they sold it for being non-addictive, even though they knew better. All for the greed, all for the money. And now it took our nation back, the whole nation, not just Louisiana. Now we graduating for that. We're moving up. And I really believe that Livingston Parish is setting the way and moving up. We have a criteria that we are following, and it's strictly following, and we're spending the money correctly. But I'm telling you, the bottom line is the joy you see in the people's eyes, knowing they got a second chance. You can tell if they're gonna work the program right. And sometimes it's touching. Sometimes it makes you want to cry. Yeah. But just in the community I live in, I know good people who got addicted, just went to the doctor and got addicted, and their families got torn apart. And again, the analogy I used earlier was spilled milk. We can't pick that up, but we can sure give them a second chance, and that's what we're trying to do.
Now that we're coming to the conclusion of the podcast, is there anything you want to say to the residents of Livingston Parish?
Yes, I like to speak to the residents personally. Guys, I'm not going to be able to fix everything we got out there, but I'm going to work on a lot of problems we have. But it's not a one-man team. It's not a politician that can get things done. It takes a community. It takes a group of people. And it takes us fighting for each other. And I think Livingston Parish is unique in those things. I think, yes, we got a new program running now, so there's going to be some questions asked. Are y'all spending your money correctly? Are you doing the right things? That's what this podcast is about. It's for me to come to assure you that we are following the guidelines set by this settlement. We are using this money to be advantageous to these people who are addicted or to their families who need a second chance. And I think our instructors have done a great job. They get emotional too. There's a tear or two come through their eyes. But I'm telling you, I am proud to be a Livingston Parish citizen. And if you see this work being done in the background, you would too. And thank you.
You know, Randy, what I want you to know is from a national perspective, somewhere in the neighborhood of 200 people a day die through opioid deaths. And several years ago, Jelly Roll, the singer, addressed Congress. And when he addressed Congress, he brought up a very good point. He said that too many times addicts, or there's a stereotype involved or stigma attached to them, and we're trying to eliminate that, as I said. But this is what Jelly Roll said. He said, every day there's a plane, a 737 full of people that crashes, and somewhere in the neighborhood of, I'm going to use the 200 person, even though the plane holds a little bit less. So 200 people a day die. Do you think if this was actually occurring, if a plane was actually crashing, that they wouldn't come up with a solution? So what we're trying to do is bring awareness and be part of that solution, because there's no way that we want 200 people a day to die from opioid deaths. The thing about opioids is this: they're made in medical grade laboratories, but they're also made in illicit laboratories in the street. Fentanyl also. Fentanyl, for everybody who doesn't know, fentanyl has a medical use. It's a synthetic opioid, and it's used for surgeries, it's used for pain, it's used for anesthesia. This is what it's made for. However, the drug dealers are utilizing it to get you hooked on pills. So what they're doing, they're putting fentanyl in opioids, and sometimes they're just pressing the pills and just going with strict fentanyl to get you addicted. And what happens is you become so addicted with the fentanyl that you can't get off of it. And even if you had a prescription that Randy talked about earlier, you have a 30-day supply, right? Whenever you get addicted and you don't have the ability to get that prescription anymore, then you go to the illicit drug dealers to get it, and that's where the problem comes. The DEA says that 5 out of every 10 pills that they test have a lethal dose of fentanyl. Now, what a lethal dose of fentanyl is, I'm gonna tell you what it looks like. It's a number 2 pencil. It's the tip of the number 2 pencil, and that's what it looks like. So understand this: if you buying stuff from the street, you have a very high propensity to overdose. The only thing we have going for us now, and it's helping our parish, is that we're able to distribute Narcan. The people that are on my team, I call it the content crew. We have Brent Ballard, Tyler Henderson, we have Jess, and we have Daniel. They help do different things, but what we're able to do when we go to the businesses is we're giving some of the businesses in our area Narcan. Why, you ask? Because we know that people in our parish may succumb to this addiction and may overdose in a public situation, and we want academy sports, we want these restaurants, we want all these areas where there's a lot of foot traffic to have Narcan to try and save our citizens. About 50 to 51 people died from opioid overdose last year in our parish. These numbers are a little skewed because if they go to a hospital in another parish, if they're picked up in Livingston Parish but go to a hospital in another parish, then what happens is they have that stat. So we probably have more people that are dying from our parish than those numbers indicate. So be aware, be prepared, and know that your parish is out here working to make this a better Livingston Parish. Thank you for tuning in to the Livingston Parish One Pill Can Kill podcast. I'm your host, Tim Henderson, and we look forward to dropping more episodes where we can bring additional resources, additional information, and answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.